But the one that sort of I found the most curious one was, how did the eye evolve? Because a lot of Christians quote that the eye is proof that God exists. So, I'd like to start with that. If you've prepared an answer for that, how did the eye evolve?
If I was going to put it down to a sentence, it would be, in summary, the eye evolved through mutations and natural selection. And,
right.
It's a bit of a paragraph, but approximately 4 billion years ago, life could not see anything at all, so no sight. A random mutation gave bacteria a protein molecule, the ability to absorb sunlight, and it would activate when light was found. And, mutations can be good or bad, and in this instance what it meant was that it gave the bacteria an ability to seek out shade when needed, and additional mutations caused them later to avoid light, and they had an advantage over the ones that couldn't.
So they passed on their genes.
Yeah. It damaged the DNA for those that didn't have that ability. They survived in greater numbers than the ones that didn't have this ability, and over time this light spot became more concentrated in one area, and it gave them an advantage as they could find the sun at will easier, which is where they generated their food from. And the next step in the evolution was the light spot became cupped, or like a dimple, that allowed this ability to sense the direction of incoming light. And as the cup grew deeper, the front got smaller, which increased the resolution, and it gave the ability to make out objects based on the light.
Wow.
So from there, natural selection sculpted the eye based on the ability to survive and reproduce. So that is my answer.
So that's amazing. So essentially then, I guess it's a question of slightly altering the way that you say survival of the fittest, because I was brought up to it was survival of the fittest, but actually it's survival of the most able to adapt, isn't it? So it's adaptation, it's adapting to different circumstances. So I can see that if you are a simple organism and you use, I guess photosynthesis isn't the case because plants don't have eyes, but if you needed to be able to find light or darkness, then it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? And then over the millions and millions of years, it just gets more complex and more complex. A bit like high definition TV and ultra high definition TV, and going on and on and on, all the different levels.
Well, they actually use that phrase of high definition.
Yeah, there you are. So that's really cool. So why is my eyesight so bad? Maybe we're going the other way. Too much looking at computer screens, that's for sure. Well, that's really cool.
Make the point. They make the point of the fact that evolution has to evolve, and it can't start from scratch. So our eye is actually, started off in water. So the fact that we're not in water anymore is an issue as to why we can't see things which are right in front of our nose, and how light bends through the water. That sort of thing is a flaw of the eye and how we evolved.
That's a good point, because actually when you go swimming or anything, if you don't have a pair of goggles, you can't see underwater. I mean, you can see underwater, but you can't focus. So if you ever want to know what it looks like, for me, when I don't have my glasses on, when I'm fumbling around, then just go into a swimming pool or hold your head, underwater for a few seconds, not too long because you don't want to drown. But if you hold your head underwater for a few seconds, you'll see that you can't really focus very well. People tell me this is true, but I don't know it to be true, because whenever I hold my head underwater, I haven't got my glasses on, so everything looks out of focus anyway. But apparently, if you've got good eyesight and you go swimming underwater, everything's blurred. But as soon as you put on a pair of goggles, then you're looking through air again, and somehow you're able to see. So that's a bit of a curious thing. But I don't know if the other thing as well is that just on this topic, it's a really cool little trick that only people, and I'm one of the lucky few, because I am actually short-sighted. and this will work for me. But if you've got perfect vision, this is not going to work for you. So too bad. But if you can't see very clearly and you hold your fingers, you put your fingers together into a sort of a ball, you might like the OK sound, if you make an OK sign with your fingers, but then you just scrunch your index finger down until there's a tiny little hole peeping through. You can see a little bit of light peeping through the fingers. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if you do that and you look through there, you can focus a lot more clearly. And I can do that and look through that tiny little hole, and I can see things that I can't ordinarily see without my glasses. So without my glasses, I might be able to read signs and things like that. Just peering through that tiny little hole, makes everything a lot clearer. I was curious about this, but it turns out that what happens is the lens focuses the light into a certain point in your eye, and what happens with me is I'm short-sighted is my lens the muscles aren't strong enough, so I can't, or they're too strong, and I can't focus all of the light into a specific point very well, and therefore the image that I get is unclear. It's out of focus. But if you make a tiny little hole, most of the light has disappeared. So you've got a lot less light streaming through, and so therefore it's a lot more focused, and so you can see things significantly clearer through that little hole, which is a remarkable little thing. It's a little trick. But there you go. I found that out, and it's a bit of a weird thing. But there you are. Try it if you've got bad eyesight. I don't drive a car down, like that. Because first of all, you should have both hands on the wheel, and secondly, you need to be able to see a lot more than just a tiny little bit of vision. That makes tunnel vision, takes it into a completely new realm. But yeah, interesting little thing. If you're short-sighted, take your glasses off for a second and try that.